Week 5 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few tight ends I have as sleeper options this week. The first guy, Hayden Hurst of the Cincinnati Bengals. So Hayden Hurst quietly has been a decent option for this Bengal team here. Not really for fantasy as much, but a guy filling in for C.J. Uzomah, who left in free agency. He's been pretty decent, and we've saw him have some decent years in his career. Going back to Baltimore, and then Atlanta in his first season before just whatever happened, he couldn't get it going. So this season, he's got 3 ball games with 7 or more fantasy points in PPR leagues is Hayden Hurst. And this week here on Sunday Night Football, I think this is going to be a ball game where it's going to be up and down the field. We know the Ravens' secondary and pass coverage isn't good this season here, where we've seen wide receivers and tight ends have pretty big ball games versus them. In the last few weeks here for Hurst, week 2 with Dallas, 5 catches, 24 yards. Week 3 at the Jets, disappointing game, 1 catch, 7 yards. And then last week versus Miami, his best game so far this season, 3 catches, 27 yards, and a touchdown. So this week here, week 5 at Baltimore, I think he could get 4 catches, 40 yards, and possibly find the end zone. And right now, he's available in 75% of fantasy leagues. The next tight end is Austin Hooper of the Tennessee Titans. So Austin Hooper, he was great on the Atlanta Falcons 3-4 seasons ago. Then he went to Cleveland. He was banged up for most of the part and didn't do anything. And then so far this year, with the Tennessee Titans, he's done nothing for fantasy owners. He's a real dart throw this week here is Austin Hooper. Available, I'm surprised he's still owned in 22% of leagues and still out there in 78%, because the last couple weeks here, he's been non-existent in this offense. Week 2 with Buffalo, a catch for 19 yards. Week 3 versus Vegas, 2 catches, 19 yards. And last week at the Colts, 1 catch, 4 yards. So this week here, pretty decent matchup with Washington. I know they've been decent versus tight ends, but you still can move the ball on this Washington team. And Austin Hooper maybe could sneak a touchdown in, but if you're in a deepest of leagues or real desperation for a tight end, this is the only chance I would consider Hooper as a sleeper option because of the matchup this week, is he don't get targets. They don't look for him in the passing game. And we know Tennessee's built on defense and running the football, and the third and final tight end I have as a sleeper this week. And I mention him pretty much every week if you follow the channel, but he's still out there in 90% of fantasy leagues. So I got to mention him, Will Disley of the Seattle Seahawks. So Disley's having a great season this year at the tight end position, and he's had 3 double-digit fantasy games out of the first 4, and he's a touchdown target for sure here for Geno Smith. He's not putting up yards and catches, but he always has the knack for the end zone with 3 touchdowns on the season. Week 3 versus Atlanta, 3 catches, 34 yards, a touchdown. And week 4 at the Detroit Lions, 4 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. So week 5 here, tough matchup at the New Orleans Saints. But right here, like I said, he's a good target of Geno Smith. Defenses, they're going to pay attention, obviously, to Metcalf and Lockett before they want to stop Will Disley. And Geno Smith likes hitting the tight end. We saw Noah Fant score a touchdown last week. Parkinson, he's integrated in the offense a little as well. But Will Disley's the touchdown guy, and he's good pretty much so far this season. 3 for 30 yards and a touchdown, and that's a solid 12, 13-point fantasy day weekly. I don't know if he'll do it this week here, but he's a guy to consider as a tight end to play this week. And he's a sleeper because he's available in 90% of fantasy leagues. That's a few tight ends I have as sleepers here for week 5 of the fantasy football season.